Okay, for the world's best peanut brittle, I have 2 cups of sugar, 1 cup of white Karo corn syrup, and 1 cup of water, and a 1/4 teaspoon salt. I'm going to start this boiling, and until it starts to boil, I'm going to stir it. Once it starts to boil, I will stop stirring and just let it set. It'll take it about 12 minutes to get up to 240 degrees Fahrenheit. When it reaches 240, we'll add the peanuts and continue boiling. So it's probably been about 5 minutes now. It's just getting ready to boil. Okay, it's starting to boil. I don't know if you can see, it's going to foam up a little bit, and then it'll settle down to a nice rolling boil. That was the oven up to temperature. Okay, so now it's boiling. I'm going to set the spoon there. It's going to take it about 12 minutes to reach 240. And one of the most important parts, besides from using a candy thermometer, is getting everything else you need ready beforehand, and have it ready. So I've got the thermometer just sitting in a cup full of hot water. I'm going to measure out 2 teaspoons of baking soda into a little dish. Baking soda. I'm going to set that last in line. I'm going to measure out 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and I actually dump that into a tablespoon just so it's easier to not spill. And set that to the side. I'm going to measure out 2 tablespoons of butter. I've got 2 pieces of wax paper here. I'm going to cut that butter up into cubes just to make it easier to melt when it's time to put it in. And that butter's ready. And then I'm going to put 1 little piece of butter on this wax paper to butter the cookie sheet with. And there, everything is ready. Now I'm going to go ahead and set the cookie sheet into the oven to warm it up. Sorry, I bumped the... Got to look at the clock, but about 10 minutes. about 12 minutes actually to get it up to 240, but at 10 minutes I will put the thermometer in. And the one last thing that I need to get ready is the peanuts. And I'm using raw Spanish peanuts. And a good full 2 cups. This is a 30-ounce bag. Actually says it's 5.5 cups. I will dump this measuring cup full. It ends up being about 2.25 cups or so. 2.5 cups, somewhere around there. So it's been about 10 minutes now. I've got the thermometer I've got the thermometer in the pan. Looks like I'm about 230 degrees. I'm going to pull the cookie sheet out of the oven. Bang. And again, I just basically put it in the oven to warm it up to make it easier to spread this butter. And I'll spread the butter. And there, the cookie sheet is ready to go. Looks like we're about 235. A little ways to go yet. 235, 240. Just to make sure the peanuts get cooked. My little red dog helper's helping. She thinks she's helping. Sit. Down. Good girl. Good girl. Like I say, it's pretty consistent, 12 minutes of rolling boil, and it should be at 240. The next part varies a little bit as far as time goes. On average, about 8 minutes. Okay, so we're approaching 240 now. I'm going to go ahead and pull the thermometer out of the pan, put it in my cup of hot water, and then I'm going to slowly dump these peanuts in while I'm stirring it. The peanuts are in, and at this point right now you need to stir it all the time. Otherwise your peanuts are going to burn. And we don't want that.
Back to the scene of the crime.
Interesting choice of words. Magic cane. Why did you?
I thought maybe if I did, I could.
$2.95. Okay, thermometer just crossed 300. I turn the heat off. I pull the thermometer out. I dump 2 tablespoons of butter in and mix that up well. And once I see all the chunks of butter have melted, I add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. It's going to boil and burn off real quick. And mix that really well. I add 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Mix that really well. This is where it comes up. And I dump it out onto the pan.
My life is here, in New York.
And voila, 1 batch of peanut brittle. Don't do anything with that. You're going to rinse the pan off real quick. Okay, it's all nice and cooled. Now we get to break it up. I usually push it over the edge. Just push it down. Break it up like so. Just to get the big part started. And then just break it up into bite-sized pieces. And you can see the amount of air, nice and thick. Oh, and it smells good too. See how thick that is? A lot of air pockets in it. And if I can get by without eating all the crumblies that are left over, I put them in I vacuum pack them into a bag and then use them on homemade ice cream in the summer. And oh my goodness, my own version of butter brittle, I call it. One batch of peanut brittle. Done.